Good morning, school family. Happy Monday. As you know, students are off today for Yom Kippur. Teachers still have meetings, so I wanted to jump on with you really quick before I get started with my day to do our work of the week video. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to be supportive, whether that be reading my emails and responding, helping your students logging on and off. I know everybody has different schedules, very busy schedules, other children to care for, and it just feels really good to know that our students are being supported as they continue to do such a good job with online learning. It is definitely a challenge at this age for them to have stamina. And that's something that we'll continue to build on. We often talk about building our muscles for our reading stamina and things of that nature, but we're trying to just build stamina to be able to stay on the computer and be attentive. And they are doing an excellent job with that so far. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that at the beginning of the school year, so we've been together for about 2 weeks now doing our actual working curriculum. The beginning of the year is so much about those routines. So if you hear me saying the same things over and over again, that is on purpose. So our students are really picking up all of those different things that we're going to utilize every day. And hopefully when we come back into the classroom together, some of those strategies that we're using online are going to transcend and also take place in the classroom. So there's a couple little things in case you want to practice with your student. Many of them pick them up like this and they're doing it already. I use a lot of sign language at times so that friends can communicate with me without having to take time to mute and unmute the mic, which we're getting really good at doing that too, but we know sometimes it takes much longer than expected to turn the mic on and off and toggle between the different screens and doing all of that. So one sign that we use all the time is the me too. So you just tuck your hand like this and you shake it forward. So when I see students doing this, it's their way to say to me, hey, I had that same thought, or I agree. So oftentimes you might hear me say, I see you giving that me too sign. If a friend gave a good response, or sometimes the friends will say, they stole my answer. We don't have to worry about that. Here's a positive way to say, I was thinking the same thing. And when we started on Friday, my friend Miss C that's on the kindergarten team taught this one to me. This is the pass. So sometimes students are feeling shy, or maybe their answer has popped out of their brain and they can't think of it anymore. I put my hands together like this and I shove one fist forward, and that just means skip me. Sometimes we do the X, but this is a little bit more positive. So if they don't want a term, or it's something that they're not sure about answering, they can just give me the pass when I call on them. You've also probably noticed we do a lot of singing and dancing. Some of our school family songs we've been building in. We're going to work a lot more on those this week as we move into another part of our Conscious Discipline program, talking about how to be a bucket filler. So you might think, what is a bucket filler? We have a whole little song that we're going to do with that as a reminder, but we pretend as if we have, and even as adults we do, an imaginary bucket on our head, and that's how we explain it to the students. But the bucket is something that when I am doing good choices and being helpful and being loving, our buckets, imaginary buckets, fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up. But when I'm making sad choices or hurtful choices, we've been working on that language a lot, helpful and hurtful, and not so good things are happening, my bucket starts to empty a little bit. So you might hear me say things like, you are really filling up my bucket, meaning these good choices are just making me feel so good. And students' buckets at the same time from that positive praise are also filling. But then you might hear me say, you're making my bucket get empty, or my bucket is emptying because you did blah, 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 whatever the choice is. And that language makes it a little bit more concrete for our students to realize, okay, I only want to do choices when I can that fill my bucket and fill the adults in my lives bucket and not empty their bucket. So we are going to read a book this week about being a bucket filler, and we're going to learn that song, and then you will hear me constantly referring back with that language. A lot of this beginning of the year stuff builds in these simple routines that can be used and revisited all school year long, which is really fabulous because it's reliable to the students and it feels safe to them that they know that they can rely on that language to continue on in their learning. Aside from that, we're going to step into some other texts that we have as a part of our Conscious Discipline program and continue to build on those ideas that none of us are perfect and it is okay to make mistakes. A lot of times at this age, and it's natural, our students are very egocentric. They want everything to be the exact way they want it at the time that they want it, and we want it now. And I'm sure you experience that all the time as well. So we want to teach them that sometimes things don't happen exactly the way that we want them to, and that is okay. We're going to read a powerful story called Giraffes Can't Dance. It's one of the Walker family's favorite, my family, but also our student in our class, August, and his mommy, Miss Bernice. She is a fan of this book as well. So I know this is going to be a good one for us this week. It talks about the power of yet. So I might not be able to do something and I could say, I can't. Or I could say, I can't do that yet. Meaning that I have all this room to grow my brain and to get smarter and to be able to learn how to do it. So we're going to focus in a lot on that this week and talk about the power of yet. And then just some other texts that are going to be really helpful to also build in that same language and same routine. So for some of you, you might be watching while we're teaching and learning and thinking, man, a lot of this stuff just happens over and over again. It is on purpose. I'm sure sometimes I sound like a broken record, but it is the most effective way for our students to get it to become innate in their brains, and it just will happen organically. Okay, so moving on to math. At the beginning of the year, as I shared before, so much of our work is exploration based. We give students an opportunity just to play and explore the manipulatives, the objects that we're working with. Since we are not together physically, we are trying to use some of those digital resources like the pattern shapes game, geoboards. We have the pennies on the mat that we've been kind of manipulating and working with online. So sometimes I'm going to ask students to do that on their own, because just watching me play with it isn't going to do them any good. So that's those links that I've been sharing out. We've been trying, and I've sent them through email in case you want to look at them again. So they have an opportunity to kind of use the manipulatives in the same way. All of these things we're using, we're going to come back to later and actually do more math-related activities to them. So right now it just might look like it's play, but eventually they're going to say, oh, that's right, I use geoboards. I already know how to use the tool. Now let me actually use it for geometry. Or I used the pattern shapes before and all I did was play with them. Now I'm going to use them for different counting activities, or I might be using them to make pattern block pictures. All kinds of things like that. So that's just a little something to keep in the back of your mind, that as we're in these exploring stages, those things are going to become more relevant in a math-related way later on. So recently we've been working within sets of 5 and within sets of 10. At the end of the year, our goal was to be able to count to 100. So you're going to hear us doing those counting practices every day. And then we've kind of just been playing around with some different activities where students can work a little bit more independently and show me what they know by doing subitizing, which if you've been watching, it's me flipping up that 10 frame, them quickly finding a strategy for counting or for visualizing what they see. We're building in those routines as well, because we're going to do challenging activities down the line where they're going to need that base knowledge, that number sense, which is so heavy in kindergarten that we need that in the beginning stages in order to solve harder math problems. Now, so if you're thinking to yourself, my student already knows how to count. My student can do activities within 10. That is fantastic. If you want to challenge them, we can push on and try numbers within 20 and use those in different ways, like the subitizing. My one group that I work with, we tried it with a 20 frame instead of a 10 frame. So we're building on that base, and then eventually we're all going to grow and be ready for that higher point in our learning. Small groups are so important, because that's a time that I get to really look in and hone in and zone in on those activities and things that students are working on, and I can see, okay, we've got a really good handle on this, let's move on. Or maybe I don't have such a good handle, I'm gonna back it up a little bit and do some intervention activities. So that brings me to the idea of phonics. So we know phonics are our letters, our sounds, putting everything together, the letter knowledge to be able to read words. As I said before, some of my students are already readers, and that's incredible. But phonemic awareness is going to be a key concept throughout the entire school year, and it will get more challenging as we go. So if you've been listening in, we've been working a lot on phoneme segmentation, and all that means is hearing a word, taking the sounds and breaking them up. So if you see your students walking around and doing this, it's because we're breaking the sounds on our body. Beginning sound, middle sound, ending sound. If this skill is a challenge, we scale it back and we try 2 sounds. Sometimes we only listen for the beginning sound. Eventually, we're going to isolate the middle sound, the ending sound. And if all of this sounds crazy to you, that's okay because you're not teachers, so that's all right. But these are those beginning skills that are going to teach our students to be readers if they're not already. And it is also good, even if our students are readers, to practice these skills because it is also going to lend itself to writing and be able to figure out the different grammatical ways that we spell words. So as the school year progresses, we're going to build on these skills to be able to do further things when it comes to phonemic awareness and phonics. So right now it's a lot of those beginning routines with rhythm and rhyme. You're going to hear a lot of poems and things like that going on, and we're picking out the different skills as we go along. And we are working at a very base level on kind of writing some letters, doing some penmanship activities with those, and then we will also build on that as we do dictation further in the future and can differentiate to make it a little bit more challenging. Okay, so I think that is everything that we have for this week coming up. I hope you have a wonderful day today, students. I hope you are resting, maybe relaxing and maybe watching a movie or doing something fun today. It's really not so nice outside, so hope you're staying in your jammies and getting nice and snuggly. I'm going to go get ready to hop on my first meeting for the day. Everybody have a great day. I wish you well, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Mwah.